sorry, I'm a bit late. I was just checking some facts,
Oh
because
yeah.
about being able to tell about everything because we have so many things to see in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much. So tell me your name. I got introduced to you as Lucia, but I see a different name here. So yeah, tell me your name.
So my name is pronounced as Lyutsiya.
Okay,
Lyutsiya
I see. And then how do you say the last name?
Adilzhanova.
Okay, all right. I probably would have butchered that. But that's
And your name is Haley, right?
Bailey.
Bailey,
Yeah,
sorry.
with a B. With a B. Yep. And my last name is also pretty challenging if you just look at it, but it's Reitzel, so like really German. Reitzel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Um, okay, and where are you at in Kazakhstan?
So I live in Almaty. It's a city in the south of Kazakhstan, just at the footsteps of Tian Shan Mountains. It's the biggest city in Kazakhstan.
Okay, and the capital, correct?
No, it
Oh,
used to
okay.
be the capital, but about 20 years ago, the capital was changed to Astana, which is now called as Nur Sultan. And the capital was moved because Almaty is very close to the south, so it's close to the border with China.
Mhm.
We Kazakhstan has been having difficult relationship with our south big neighbor, and it was considered safer to move the capital to the center of Kazakhstan, which is
Interesting.
Astana or Nur Sultan.
Interesting. I did not know that at all. So this is actually going to be a pretty fascinating conversation for me because once I started getting into speaking with people from Central Asia, it's just a lot of that region I did not learn about growing up. And I haven't really done a huge amount of reading and I haven't been to those places. So it's super fascinating to hear about them a little bit more. Because I don't even have any idea in my mind of what there is in these countries necessarily. And I bet a lot of people who are watching this show also don't. So yeah, let's start with if I was in Kazakhstan, what would we do together?
Um, so I guess I would meet you in Almaty, a city where I live. And first of all, I would show you around the city. It's really beautiful, and from any point of the city, you can see the beautiful mountains, the peaks of the mountains with covered with snow. Um, so we have Panfilov Park, and in the center of the park, one of the city sites is Orthodox Church. It was built in 19th century um, from wood, but without any nail.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it was interesting because in 1920s, I guess, we had a huge earthquake in Almaty, and almost all the buildings in the city were destroyed. And the only building that wasn't destroyed was that Orthodox church, Ascension Cathedral. So it's beautiful with different colors of the rooftops. And from that park, we would walk to Green Market. It's a place. It's a big market where we go to buy groceries, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and we have outdoor and indoor facilities, and you can try any kinds of foods, and the vendors, they are so friendly and they want to chat with you. So we could eat somewhere in the restaurant downtown, and I guess from there first of all, I would take you hiking, right?
Okay. I
So
love a
whatever
good
you
hike.
do, yeah. You like hiking?
Yes, totally. Hmm.
Okay, so we would go up to Mideo. It's a place where people can park their car or take a bus there. There's a big skating rink located in the mountains. So really beautiful spot. So if it would be winter, we would go ice skating there. We would try that. And we would start our hike after taking a gondola a little bit up the mountains, and we would go hiking, and you would be able to see the beautiful mountains, Tian Shan mountains, that we share with China and Kyrgyzstan. But also we would see the view of the city, right? Because from up you're looking down and we see this our city lying.
Okay. That sounds amazing. Yeah. The ice skating rink, I think I saw it on Google Street View. What's the name of it?
Mideo.
Yeah, Midao. Okay. All right. Yes, I did. I just like had jumped into Kazakhstan and was all, whoa, what, there's this big skating rink here.
Yeah,
nice.
it's in a very beautiful spot. It's surrounded by mountains. So usually it's lighted and you're skating and you have this gorgeous view all around you. So it's really neat.
Nice.
Yeah. So after our hike, we could drive to Kapchagai Lake. So it's about a 2-hour drive, and I guess we could enjoy the view from the lake. We could swim there. After that, we would drive a little bit further to Ili River. So we have one spot where people go rock climbing or just camping, and that site is known for the rock cavings.
Okay.
So that spot used to be on the way of vendors who are coming along the Silk Way, because Kazakhstan, you've heard of it.
Yeah, the Silk Road, right?
Silk Road.
Yeah.
So people used to travel through Kazakhstan, and that spot on the Li River is, I guess, where people would stay, and it has beautiful carvings on the rock made by Buddhist monks.
Okay.
So it's really neat. We have like a huge carving of Buddha and some writings in Tibet language. So we could actually stay there overnight. It's quite a comfortable camping spot. And after that, we would continue driving to the, so I'm not sure which direction it is. We would drive up to Balkhash Lake. Balkhash Lake is located in the center of Kazakhstan, and it's one of the largest lakes in Asia, and it's the 15th largest lake in the world.
Oh my goodness.
And it's really neat because the part of that lake is salty water, but another part is fresh water, and they don't mix together.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Wait, why does this happen?
I guess because the different rivers that flow into the lake, so some rivers bring fresh water, so I guess the feeding of the lake is different, and for part of the lake it stays as solid, and for the other part it stays as fresh, and they don't mix.
That's so interesting. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's an interesting fact. So driving would take approximately 6-7 hours. Unfortunately, the roads wouldn't be so good. But we would be able. We would drive through the desert, the steppe. So the landscape would change completely from Almaty. And we would see some animals, rabbits, camels. camels. There are some camel farms, and local people have them as their cattle. And so after we arrive at Balkhash, we would go swimming and enjoy our stay on the lake. It's beautiful and it's really huge. So we would have to choose where we could camp. And from there, we would continue driving further north, and we would reach my hometown. So where I was born. It's called Karaganda. It's a big city. It's located in the flat steppe. So it's completely flat, just steppes, just yellow, sun-dried steppes, and that's it. But the city has an interesting history. It's during Stalin times, during Soviet times, we had a huge concentration camp located near Karaganda. So it was a part of Gulag concentration camp system.
Okay.
And Karlag actually was one of the biggest concentration camp. So totally there were 1 million of prisoners sent there. And they were really prominent people like scientists and politicians and artists and writers. So right now at the site of that camp, there is a beautiful and really interesting museum. And we could take a tour in that museum and see the buildings of that concentration camp. We would learn about the history. They would tell us about the people who were there, what was happening. We would hear some stories, and I guess we would spend like a day there.
Okay.
And after our visit of the museum, we could continue driving further north, and we would reach the capital, Astana, which is now called Nur-Sultan. It was renamed just 1 year ago, so it's quite a new name.
Why was it renamed?
So it was renamed after a first name of the first president of Kazakhstan. So actually, a lot of local people were not happy with the fact, and many people continue calling it as Astana.
Okay, all right. So that's how you can tell if like a tourist comes in versus a local, because they will call it by maybe the president's name.
Yeah.
Because that's what's on the map, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
And then the locals will all call it the older name.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've mentioned starting in Almaty and going to the center and further north, right? Mm-hmm. But actually, I have to mention the Kazakhstan is really diverse, and it's really it has huge territory. So it's so different. It has like everything, any landscape you can imagine. So I need to mention the south of Kazakhstan. There is a big city, Shymkent. It's a really interesting city, and it has its own mentality. So you have to try the local food there, and people, they would be so open and friendly. It's also located near the mountains. Okay. So it has in the summer it would be really hot. It has mild climate for the rest of the year. And in the south region, we have some ancient cities like Turkestan, where you would be able to see the ancient mosques and ancient buildings. They are, I don't know if you have seen architecture of some ancient buildings in Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some mosques. So they perhaps look similar.
Okay.
Yeah, like very beautiful architecture, colors, history.
Totally. What
Mhm.
you mentioned the food. This is one of my favorite things, trying local food. What kind of food is sort of traditional there?
So the main dish is bishparmak. It's a dish made from meat. So actually, Kazakhs eat horse meat.
Okay.
So a lot of times we would use boiled horse meat and boiled pasta, cooked pasta, some onions, sometimes some potatoes. Um, it's and broth and meat broth.
Okay.
So it's called bishparmak because in Kazakh it means five fingers, and people would eat it with their fingers.
Okay. All right.
No,
I
not anymore. Like right now, it's not as common,
okay.
but I guess back then it was.
Interesting. I love that. So like Ethiopian, you do that too. Well, you have like the bread and then you scoop the stuff. And I just love eating with my hands for some reason. So I'd really like this.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
nice. Okay.
We have we have some dishes which are common in Central Asian region, like manti. They are dumplings with meat inside, and plov. Plov, it's a dish made from rice and meat and some vegetables or sometimes even fruits. Um, you would have to try shashlik. Shashlik, it's like barbecue meat
Okay. Yeah.
or sometimes barbecue vegetables. You can also try European cuisine here, mostly Russian, Ukrainian, because we have a lot of people of this origin living in Kazakhstan. So you would try, for example, borscht. It's
Mhm.
you've heard of it.
Yeah, I go to a Russian and Turkish bathhouse in New York, or I used to before COVID. And they have food there. So they have this wonderful borscht.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here it's quite common in families to cook borscht and um, perhaps chicken soup and some potato and meat.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So have you, this trip that we're sort of going on around Kazakhstan, have you done this in the past?
I've driven to from Almaty to Lake Balkhash,
Hmm.
and obviously I've been to my hometown and between the capital and my hometown. I went hiking to Shymkent mountains near Shymkent, the city in the south.
Hmm.
So where I haven't been is the west of Kazakhstan, which is located on the shore of Caspian Sea.
Okay.
And it's really interesting terrain. It looks different from anything we know. It's almost like Mars, you know.
Okay.
It's desert, and then these canyons and these salt-covered hills. It's very beautiful and very unusual. I have been on the shore of Caspian Sea, but not in Kazakhstan, in Azerbaijan.
Okay.
So um, the sea is also very beautiful, of course.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
There.
So
And
you're, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I haven't mentioned the east of Kazakhstan. This is where I usually go skiing. The east, it's Altai Mountains that we share with Russia. And it's interesting because the Altai Mountains, they look completely different from the mountains we have here in Almaty down south. So there are a lot of birch trees, not as many fir trees, and the mountains are not as high. Um, and I just remembered, you've asked me about my experience of exploring Kazakhstan. So
Yeah.
just 2 weeks ago, I went on a safari tour to a place near the village Kigen, and it's located on the border of Kazakhstan, China, and Kyrgyzstan,
Okay.
our third neighbor. And it was a beautiful campsite with the view of the mountains, and we could see the peak of Han Tengri. It's the highest peak in Asia. It's 23,000 feet peak.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
People from all over the world come to climb that peak. You know, professional mountain climbers.
Okay.
It's one of the top seven, I guess, seven peaks in
Oh,
the world.
interesting. Yeah, I used to do a little bit of climbing. I lived in Colorado, and so I climbed there. Are you a climber as well?
Rock climbing, yes, I have done it.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, so you're sort of an adventure junkie then.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am.
Skiing and rock climbing and things. That's, well, I do hear that the Central Asia area is pretty good for adventure junkies. So I think Uzbekistan also has some really some really interesting terrain. They have rock climbing, they have great skiing. And it's interesting because I grew up skiing and snowboarding, and this was not sort of in my periphery to be like, oh, I should go skiing there. I always
Mhm.
remember hearing Japan had great skiing. Um,
Mhm.
but I think that sort of shows how, especially for probably Americans, this part of the world is like seen as almost a no man's land. Like, like you wouldn't go there, which is really quite odd because as I'm looking in Google Street View, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many beautiful things in these countries that I just, no one has ever mentioned to me before. Um, so I guess that brings me to my next question is, what are some stereotypes of this area or Kazakh people from Kazakhstan that you would like to combat?
So it's related to what you have been saying.
Mm,
So the biggest stereotype is no stereotypes because people don't know about Kazakhstan, right? So I would be asked when I travel, I would be asked where I'm from, and in the USA, people usually react like, Kazakhstan? You mean Pakistan or Afghanistan? Kazakhstan? I've never heard of it.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So it just sounds like a stan country,
Hmm.
and people, I guess, connect it to Afghanistan and Pakistan because they are more commonly known because of the perhaps some problems because of the war, and I guess because of the name, they connect Kazakhstan to that part of the world. But
Hmm.
actually, we don't border with them, and culturally, we are a completely different country. So I usually explain that Kazakhstan used to be a part of former Soviet Union,
Hmm.
and excuse me, it's located between Russia in the north and China in the south. And then people can connect.
Right,
Okay, Russia, China, okay, Kazakhstan.
right.
And then they think that it's some small country because they've never heard of it. So it must be small, but actually it's ninth largest country in the world.
Right. Yeah, it's
So
huge.
it's huge.
Yeah,
We occupy a huge space on the map.
yeah. Truly, it's massive. Are there still, you talked about how Kazakhstan used to be nomadic. Are there still people that are generally nomadic?
Uh, I would say maybe just for a part of the year.
Okay.
So they live in their village which is called here aul. So they live there during winter, but for summer they go to, it's called Jailao. It's a place, so they take their cattle, and for the summer they just go somewhere.
Okay.
And they can stay, maybe it's a place in the mountains, or it's a place with a lot of grass for the cattle, somewhere in flat lands, in the hills. So they stay there for the summer, and as it starts cooling down, so at about this time of the year, they start coming back to their houses, to their homes.
Interesting. Interesting. That sounds, I actually really like that idea of like kind of going back and forth and being sort of nomadic. I mean, I feel like I am already that way kind of because I bounce around so much. So it doesn't sound like a bad life, to be fair.
Right, right. And so because when you are nomad, you need to be able to move fast, yeah, and assemble all your stuff fast. So the housing that they build for their stay is called yurt. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's
I've
really.
stayed in a yurt before.
Oh, you have? Where was that?
In upstate New York, there is like a couple sort of glamping. Do you know, is glamping like glory, or not glorious, glamorous camping?
Ah,
Glamping.
okay.
And so they'll have yurts that they like deck out. They have put carpets in it and, you know, a big bed and yada, yada, yada. And then also in Colorado, they do that sort of like glamping thing where they'll have a big yurt that you can stay in for the weekend.
Oh, sounds nice.
It was lovely. Yeah.
The designs are really beautiful, usually, of the yurts, because you have like carpets, like decorations, and then you have this round rooftop with a big hole in the middle, called shanarak. So in order to have some light, so the sunlight goes through that big hole, and you can look up and see the sky.
Yeah. That sounds really amazing. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So it seems like you're a pretty big traveler. Like you've bounced around Europe, and you said you went to the US as well.
I have, yes. I've been there 4 times.
4 times. Okay. Where out in the US have you been?
Oh, so I was lucky. I've traveled quite a bit. Most of my time I spent in the state of Washington.
Okay.
So it was in Seattle, and then the area near Seattle. I was in Portland, Oregon, and then Chicago, Illinois, and Florida, New York. I went to see Niagara Falls.
Oh, nice. I still haven't done that.
Yeah, I was amazed with the power of nature, seeing the falls. And I spent like 3 weeks staying with my friends in a lake in Wisconsin.
Okay. That's like a random one. That you've hit all the things, all the states that I thought you would probably say, and then Wisconsin is the odd one out. Most people from who aren't from the US don't necessarily go to Wisconsin.
Right, it's not very popular.
Yeah, but beautiful.
I really enjoyed my stay in Wisconsin. The farmlands, the woods, and staying on the lake. It's great in the summer. Like you can go swimming and canoeing.
Yeah, totally. It's great. Like the middle of the US, I think, is really fantastic as well. It's just most people don't go, and so they don't know all the fun stuff that there is there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what's one thing you really miss about pre-pandemic life that maybe you didn't think you would? There's been a lot of things where I was like, oh, I didn't realize how much that meant to me.
I really missed dancing with other people. So this is my not even hobby. This is my passion.
Okay.
And when I went to India, I explored different types of conscious dance, ecstatic dancing, contact improvisation, and I would do it. I would take training. I would do it constantly, like almost every day. And then when I came back to Kazakhstan, everything was closed, and there was no any opportunity. And still, even though the rules are not as strict, but we don't have any public events with many people. So I
Right.
really need just dancing with people.
Is there anything else you wanted to mention about Kazakhstan?
Anything else about Kazakhstan? Yeah, I think it's nothing that you can imagine. Like you have to come and see it for what it is. Like it's something completely new and a very unique part of the world and very unique history. This mix of uh, different mentalities like Russian and Asian and Kazakh and nomad, and we also have people of many ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
There are about 130 ethnicities living in Kazakhstan.
Oh,
So we
wow.
have like Germans, Lithuanians, Polish, Tatar. So my background is Tatar and Kazakh.
Okay.
So we have this interesting mix of ethnicities and people, and I think people just need to come and see.
Yeah, totally. I would definitely agree. And I am hoping that there's a vaccine or something happens where this all kind of shakes out so that I can do the Mongol rally next year, and I will see you in person next year in Kazakhstan. Because I would just love for you to show me around and us to go on that little road trip. Road trips are my favorite thing, so we'll have to do that together.
So when you come here for Mongol rally, you will be driving, or you would, yeah.
Yeah,
So you
I'll
would
be driving.
and you would be driving.
Yeah, so we'll just pick you up.
I would totally join. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for getting on the phone and talking about Kazakhstan, especially with all of my ignorance for the country. So thanks for enlightening me.
You're welcome. Thanks for your questions.
Yeah, I hope to see you very soon in person.
Me too. I'm looking
Okay.
forward to touch.
All right. See you later.